Today, we are going to demystify fibromyalgia. Now, this is a condition that affects millions of people, but honestly, it's still so misunderstood. We're not just going to list a bunch of facts. Instead, we're going to walk through the patient's journey, from those first confusing symptoms all the way to the daily reality of managing a chronic illness. So, let's get started. Just listen to this quote for a second. Moving through syrup. Wow. Melinda Miles just puts you right there, doesn't she? It's not just about pain. It's this deep, heavy exhaustion that just sinks into your bones. And for so many, this feeling, well, it's the very first step on what can be a really long and confusing road. So the whole journey really begins with this, an invisible barrage of symptoms. And for the person going through it, this stage is just so confusing and honestly pretty isolating. It must feel like your body is just sending out all these different distress signals that don't seem to connect or make any sense at all. Okay, let's break down these core symptoms. What's so important to understand is that they don't just happen one by one. They actually create this vicious cycle. The widespread pain makes it almost impossible to sleep. Then, of course, that lack of sleep leads to this profound fatigue. And when you combine the pain and the exhaustion, that's when the cognitive issues kick in. See, each one just feeds the next, creating this debilitating loop. Let's talk a little more about that cognitive piece. People often call it fibro fog. And trust me, it is so much more than just being a little forgetful. Imagine trying to get through your day when your brain feels like it's literally wading through a thick fog. It's a real struggle to concentrate, to find the right words, to process things quickly. It's easily one of the most frustrating parts of the whole condition.
And the impact? Well, it doesn't just stop with those core symptoms we mentioned. It spreads. It ripples through the whole body, causing things like chronic headaches, digestive issues like IBS, and yeah, it takes a really heavy emotional toll, anxiety, depression. This is exactly what makes fibromyalgia so incredibly complex. It's not just one thing, it's a full body condition.
So with all these different and, invisible symptoms, it leads to the next stage of the journey, the long and often really frustrating road to actually getting a diagnosis. Getting a clear answer is not easy, and there's a very specific reason why. And here it is. This is the crucial point. There is no single test. A doctor can't just order a blood panel or an X-ray and get a simple yes or no. This is the central challenge in diagnosing it, and it's a huge reason for the delays and, frankly, the skepticism that so many patients have to face. So you're probably wondering, how do doctors figure it out then? Well, it's this really meticulous process of elimination. It all starts with a deep dive into your medical history and a physical exam. But the most critical step, the one that takes the most time, is that last one, ruling out everything else it could possibly be. So what exactly are they trying to rule out? They're looking for these look-alike conditions, things that seem really similar on the surface. Widespread pain, fatigue, stiffness. Those are also the classic signs of autoimmune diseases like lupus or rheumatoid arthritis. So doctors have to check for all of those and eliminate them one by one before they can finally land on a fibromyalgia diagnosis. All right, so once a diagnosis is finally made, the next big question is always why? Why is this happening? So let's take a look at what scientists actually understand about what's going on inside the body of someone with fibromyalgia. This right here is the key concept. The leading theory is that fibromyalgia is a disorder of central sensitization. The easiest way to think about it is like this. Imagine the volume dial on your body's pain system is just turned way, way up. The brain and spinal cord start to misinterpret and amplify pain signals. So things that shouldn't hurt suddenly do, and things that might hurt just a little end up hurting a lot. So if that pain volume dial is already turned up, what cranks it even higher? Well, a whole bunch of things can act as triggers. Stress, a simple change in the weather, even hormonal shifts. Any of these can cause what's known as a flare-up, which just makes the symptoms so much worse. A huge part of managing the condition is figuring out and understanding your own personal triggers. Now, this amplified pain processing can lead to a really specific and strange condition called allodynia. This is where a stimulus that is not normally painful, like, say, the light pressure of your clothes or even the water from a shower, is actually perceived by the brain as pain. It's a really powerful example of just how rewiring the nervous system can become. Okay, so this brings us to what I think is the most proactive and empowering part of the whole journey. Because while, no, there isn't a cure for fibromyalgia, there is absolutely management. It's all about building a personalized toolkit of strategies to bring down those symptoms and improve your quality of life. The management strategies usually fall into two main buckets. On one side, you have medications prescribed by a doctor to help manage the symptoms. And on the other side, and this is just as important, you have all the lifestyle adjustments and therapies that really empower the individual. A truly successful plan almost always uses a combination of both. Now, on the medication side of things, the approach is pretty targeted. For example, doctors might use certain antidepressants not just for mood, but because they can actually adjust the brain chemicals involved in how we process pain and sleep. And other meds designed for nerve pain can help directly turn down those overactive pain signals we were just talking about. And this is where the patient really gets to take an active role. Low-impact exercise is absolutely crucial for managing stiffness and pain. Therapies like CBT can help people reframe those negative thought patterns that build up around chronic pain. And, just fundamentally, managing your stress and your diet can make a world of difference. This part is all about taking back some control. So finally, let's talk about the day-to-day reality of living with a chronic condition. Because it's not just about treatments. It's about developing new strategies for daily life and, so importantly, finding support.
These 4 points right here are absolutely essential. Pacing is huge. Learning not to push yourself too hard on a good day because you'll pay for it later. A consistent sleep schedule, daily stress reduction, and really open communication with your loved ones. These aren't just suggestions. They are fundamental tools for your survival and your well-being.
And I really cannot overstate this. Because fibromyalgia is an invisible illness, just feeling believed and understood is incredibly powerful. A strong support network, whether that's your family, your friends, or maybe an online patient group, is a critical piece of your care. It helps fight that deep sense of isolation that so often comes with a chronic illness. So after walking through this whole journey, from those first invisible symptoms to the daily grind of management, we're left with a pretty important question. How can we, as friends, as family members, as colleagues, offer better support and true understanding to those whose biggest battles are being fought on the inside?